fight that Elements won was at least one teleport kind of flanking or instigating that, and I really hope they repeat the same process today.
We'll have to find out as we load up into picks and bans. Very quickly they're going right now. The Trundle is taken off the board and the Alistair as well. On the other side, it's a pair of Yordles, Lulu, and of course the Corki.
Yeah, obviously H2K lost to that Trundle yesterday, and Steve put a phenomenal performance overall on that Trundle. We could see what the analyst desk kind of mentioned as well. A lot of early pressure here on the Poppy pick. We could see a first rotation Poppy here for H2K. Kalista still up on the board. I imagine Elements is going to ban it.
Not the ban,
but it is H2K, so that means you have to ban the jungler, and they will not pick Kalista. But Forgiven has been practicing it. If there's ever a time to do it,
the times they are changing.
Oh,
first
he
pick
did
Kalista,
it!
But on the other hand, Elements are toying with that idea. Would not be surprised to see this locked in, and it is.
I mean, standard trade, insta lock on Poppy. Like, if the Kalista and Italy were out, then H2K would have locked to Poppy. Poppy is really good into Kalista, because when you do get the flank on her and you E her, it doesn't matter if you knock her into the wall or not. When you get that steadfast presence up, she obviously can't hop anywhere. She has to like walk out, which means she can't deal any damage whatsoever. Very annoying. Yeah.
On that AD carry, we'll see what Forgiven does make of this Kalista here in Europe. He has been very outspoken in the past about that champion, but no longer. It is a new day. The Elise is locked in for Jankos, and they follow suit with the Braum pickup. That's a strong combo in the bot lane.
Yeah, jungle support on this rotation is pretty standard, unless you really want to steal something away. And then for Jankos, he has two choices. Does he go for the Graves in like the counter jungler and aggressive jungler, or does he get some additional crowd control here with that Elise? I imagine Gilius will just pick the Graves up. Not sure what else he would play in the jungle here that is really high tier.
Aika toying with the idea of the Azir. He played it before, it was cool obviously, but he wasn't able to pick up a win on it. Elements have had a hard time with that. He has also been quite outspoken about the Karma, but they don't need to pick the mid lane here.
Oh, Lee Sin is still up. Yeah, totally forgot about that guy. No. That's probably a better pick here for Gilius.
I take the Lucian as well, so of course that one makes a lot of sense. Rawlers, however, he's been having a field day in the last couple of games. Very, very successful plays all around the board and stacking up incredible stats too. I mean, he's died once in 2 games in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but Mr. Rawls is just a super consistent player overall. And with that thresh locking that they do on the first rotation, it does indicate that Elements wants to lane 2v2, 1v1. Does not seem to buy into lane swap too much. If you pick Thresh into a Kalista there, maybe they want to steal it away to not have to lane against Thresh Kalista. Because the Kalista Braum combo can actually lose to Thresh Lucian, so it's a very interesting lane. Poppy has a strong laning phase, so Elements seem to look for standard lanes and then get Gilius on the ganking spree.
Yeah, there's the question though that remains is, can Rawlers and Sprottle win versus a Forgiven Vanderlane?
Depends on how good Forgiven's Kalista is. A fantastic player overall, but may not have the champion super down. I doubt it. I think Kalista will be fantastic on Forgiven overall, because I don't see a champion in the world that he can't mechanically execute. It's more about play patterns and the philosophy behind the pick. But with Vanderin in his lane, it should be fine.
And they take their last 2 picks. It's the Lissandra picked up for Ryu, and Rammus in the top lane for Odoamne to face off against Steve. If standard lanes are indeed the case, that is what they're looking for right there. The last pickup, of course, would be that mid lane choice. We saw the LeBlanc flashed earlier, and the Karma. Aika, of course, really caring and saying so much about those picks, but let's see if he brings something new in the last game of the regular split.
I like Ryu and Lissandra here. He should be able to pressure in Aika, because Ryu is just the better player than Aika overall, so regardless of what champion he gets, I think he will have the pressure advantage. It's easy to get the pressure advantage with Lissandra too. And just the amount of mobility and picks that H2K can make, look at their composition right now. They have CC generated by every single pick, especially if you consider that Kalista has that ultimate Fate's Call available too, which then in turn makes Vander be able to play super aggressively. So they can make picks, they can roam with the Rammus, they can catch people off guard. So it's going to be tricky for Elements to survive against all this aggro.
Speaking of tricky, that last pickup, not one I expected to see, at least not in the hands of Aika. The Syndra. Haven't seen that since Power of Evil back in like week 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think Bjergsen, did he not play it in any LCS at 1.2? It's a strong laning pick, and it can definitely catch people off guard, but if it falls behind ever so slightly, it kind of gets stuck in the lane, because when somebody pushes up the wave and roams, it's really hard for a Syndra to chase, I feel. Because you can't use your spells to check a brush, because then you're very weak if you do get jumped on, so you need to see if Aika can actually generate the necessary amount of pressure to keep Ryu in lane and prevent H2K from snowballing. H2K with a very skirmish-heavy pick comp.
We'll see in their dangerous hands how they're able to put it to use. Elements on their side, a lot of question marks still surrounding that team. If they can close it out with a win, of course, they would secure 7th place, but they're already in the lead to do it. Sniff and Brawley shake hands get ready to walk off the stage now. We want to hear from you guys who you think is going to take this one away today. Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag H2K or hashtag ELWin. We'll see who's going to take this one to start off this final day of the regular split here in Europe. H2K, well, we're on a downturn, but Elements were on an up. We'll have to see who's going to get this one, walking away with the win. So important for Elements, so important to get the momentum. H2K want to win back in their book, of course. And it settles in ever so slightly before we kick this one off. Oh, man. I cannot wait. We got to savor the moment, Crepo.
Yeah, we're savoring it very hard. It's obviously nothing wrong here. That's why we're not stretching 5 seconds at all. The crowd is ready, though. These guys are holding their signs up.
I'm impressed at how silent they've been able to be.
There we go.
There we go. We are ready. We are locked and loaded. And we're going on to Summoner's Rift. Kick off this last day. And there is a very happy little front. Because why not?
So why not? Look at that flag. Isn't that pretty?
All right. Well, the cheers have been pretty hyphy this split on Element's side. Big Steve chance, but all across the board, this team is looking a little bit better. It's just so late in the split, and of course, they are at best locked into 7th place.
Yeah. So definitely a big gap between both these teams. It's bold though from Elements to play this style with a single teleport, cleanse on Aka. And they're also pretty skirmish heavy, so it's not like one team is playing a full-on poke comp or siege comp. I think these comps are kind of made to brawl and just get a lot of early action.
Very true.
So this could be a very fun game to watch at least.
Well, Elements demonstrated a pretty solid level of, dare I say, a control when they did get a lead yesterday. We're able to close it out. We commented on how they effectively didn't overextend their bounds, didn't dive in. They had a siege comp, but they used it right.
Ooh, double invade here. So Elements either opting in or predicting the lane swap, not quite sure. I think if they're predicting the lane swap, they would have waited here. Both face check, they spotted them.
Ooh, it's tense.
I think
no movement.
He either checked the blue buff or saw just the edge of Vander. Either way, they're going to lane. That means push pressure in this 2v2. It almost feels like a correct predict. It almost has to be. Rammus doesn't really win lane against anybody early. Goes even at best. And Lucian Thresh is better than Kalista Braum early. Especially when they get first to lane and there's no camp involved. Because it very much so delays the level 2 spike, where Kalista can do a little bit more. Sprattle just needs to avoid getting procced here, and the push advantage goes to Elements in one lane. Syndra can actually push pretty hard in the other lane. If she plays super aggro, see how that plays out. Because obviously, when you track what the jungler can do, you just add up the pushing lanes. If there's 2 pushing lanes, the jungler gets free access into the enemy jungle that's in between those lanes.
I definitely have to keep an eye on those 2 junglers, Gilius and Jankos. 2 very, very different career paths and players right there, but Jankos opted for the Elise instead of the Lee Sin. We mentioned it had been left open a little bit later, see if Gilius is able to go on that early top lane spree. Forgiven and Vander have already been pushed back in, as you mentioned, a stronger lane in this Lucian Thresh combo, the good old wife steal. But still, H2K, a very, very dangerous team all across the board in every lane. Let's see what they can get done here. Rio had already pushed in the mid side. And we'll really be on those 2 junglers when we have standard lanes to affect this map early. Eyes on Gilius to see what he can do. I feel like the chip is on his shoulder.
Yeah, both junglers really want to find an opening here. Level 3, 4 gank is generally where the first time you see anything happen. Except for a bit of a cheese. Sprattle secures with a ward here. Doesn't go for the deep ward on blue. Something sometimes the bot lanes like to do when they are pushing. Secure river ward. That means though that Jankos could now invade the enemy jungler and path behind. If he takes a left right here, he could get behind Sprattle, and that could actually result in a kill, and that's very dangerous here. So let's see if Elements' bot lane can read this from the behavioral pattern from Forgiven and Vander.
They pinged it. They know something is up in that tri-brush. Sprattle's actually making moves forward as a level 3 for the 2. And there's the cocoon.
They probably,
nothing else.
Maybe they saw him. Yeah, they probably saw him path over the Skull Crab. Maybe let's go back and see.
Well, safe moves all around. Elements definitely not taking any unnecessary risks at the beginning of this one. They know the stakes. They know how high they are. However, they can rest a little bit easier considering they are 1 win ahead of Splice in the standings, looking for that 7th place spot that Elements is just cozily occupied.
All right, yeah, I confirmed. They just went back and watched it. They saw indeed Jankos path over the Skull Crab that Gilius had taken, so that's and that ward is time. The combination of that ward and the Skull Crab definitely helps out. Right now, Gilius has pathed to the bottom lane. Odoamne should be fine, but we'll have to flash here, I think.
It's definitely taking a lot of damage. Got a lot of armor even to start things off. It's the taunt, though.
Never mind.
Yep, he's okay. That one was just fine. So Gilius tried to make the moves, but not nearly enough damage to kick in the Armadillo.
Yeah, generally when a jungler comes from behind, you have to expend your flash. But if neither party brings CC to that gank and you're both AD focused, then Ram is going to have a blast. Especially with that Dorans early.
Yeah. Let's take a look into the mid lane. It's just a CS fest between Ryu and Aika right now. Aika not really having too much trouble on the Cinder pick. Definitely curious to see how it performs, if it's something of a pocket pick for him. He really has been having to dip further into his champion pool. He had pulled out a lot of Victor earlier on in the split to very little success. Tried the Karma, tried the Azir before the changes did come in on 6.5. And it's just had very mediocre impact for the most part.
Just can't really leave his mark on the game. Pretty standard lanes here. Again, League of Legends has evolved to the point where tough matchups can still go somewhat even on CS, and the only difference that kind of happens is CS, and it will rarely result in kills unless junglers enter the fold.
Oh yeah.
That's why we're looking for what Gilius and what Yankas can do here. Given didn't really get punished though. He got pushed to the tower, but he's really good at farming under his tower, so he went even CS with this Kalista lane, which in itself is impressive.
Yeah. Forgiven's first outing on that Kalista. The hook does come in, and Vander will get caught for a moment, but he stands right behind Forgiven. The CS Fest does continue there. Everyone knows Forgiven as just being this AD carry who will always be able to bully, always be able to match you at the very least in farm. I mean, Rallis, despite his excellent performance of late, he has his work cut out for him, even in this optimal lane situation. Spraddle sends another hook flying, but he's not able to connect, hopping right behind the minions. However, Forgiven does take some damage, and that prompts the Unbreakable from Vander. Not enough return fire there in the Lucian Thresh lane.
Yeah, you really want to get that Flay on top of like the Kalista. Cancel hop, and that's when he's under pressure, because that makes an easy piercing light from Lucian 2 that you can then help him. Right now, on the level 6, the Syndra just has so much on in the lane. Every ball she throws, rather, or that Aika he throws, is just threatened for the all-in, especially when the jungle's nearby. Look at how far Aika can play up. And he has the Cleanse to break the all-in attempt from Ryu. So definitely favorable matchup here, Cleanse versus Teleport in the mid lane, and with these two champions. So Aika should be able to out-pressure Ryu right now.
You can see the difference in priorities. Those double teleports for H2K means they definitely want to start those skirmishes, start those fights in the later stages of the game, and gain more map pressure. It's been H2K's hallmark this season. Ike, on the other hand, he's playing more lane focused. They're hoping they can get an advantage and snowball it, but the onus is on them to do it.
Yeah, but Spraddle right here, going for hooks like that, is never really going to work, because even if you land it, Braum will just step in front of him. You really need to walk into the lane and play Forgiven. The problem is, when there's so little vision and you're so scared of the jungle, it is such a risky thing to do, and that's why a lot of these lanes go even. If you could play 2v2, no jungle, no TP, could be fine, but here, Rallis could walk into a cocoon very soon. Look at Forgiven, he's acting like he's normal at laning phase, not changing his pattern at all. But Vander might be giving it away a little bit by starting to walk up, so that's why Mr. Rallis, he's a little passive here.
Holding his nerve. Itsy Bitsy Spider hiding out in the brush, cancels his back.
Go for it.
The Rallis. Oh, he misses the cocoon.
I mean, Jankos had at least 3 opportunities where he could have thrown that cocoon, and the way, obviously, very easy for us. The way you do it is you wait until he locks in an auto attack animation. When he goes for a creep, you see a creep go low, you guarantee that the enemy AD carry is gonna go for it. That's when he stands still, and that's the frame where you fire your cocoon. But H2K kind of beaten by their own hesitation on that play.
Yeah, and Rallis and Spraddle definitely know what's up at this point. That's the second time Jankos has passed up there, the only time they've really seen him around the map. And the reputation for bloodthirstiness that he carries, they know that he's going to be all around the map. Odoamne really not having too much trouble dealing with this Poppy. Will go ahead and clear out the ward. He does have his own pink in that bottom side to prevent any future aggression from Gilius.
Very good for Elements though, because level 1 to 4, obviously a slight gank advantage for Elise because she brings that cocoon to the party. But at level 6, obviously Elise doesn't get a power spike. Yeah, she gets a little bit stronger, but Lee Sin gets access to that kick.
Yeah.
And now, this is where the ganks may stick here. Ryu gets poked down. Here's Gilius.
Oh, couldn't dodge the ball, and he couldn't dodge the Sonic Wave. He might, in fact, be burned his flash. Pops his ult. Gilius taking damage. In comes Jankos. Can they return fire? Oh, unleash the power, but he's kicked on back, trying to trade its first blood to the first blood king. And all of a sudden, where did all these H2K members come from?
Suddenly a party in the mid lane. Everybody from H2K collapses. Teleport from Odoamne. Good save there overall from Jankos. Flash Cocoon buys just enough time because Aika was completely out of mana there. He just needed one more Q to get the first blood. And Ryu somehow managed to survive that. Really, really impressive reaction as a team from H2K.
This is what has hallmarked them as such a significant force in the European LCS. Despite yesterday's stumbling block, the team still contending for first place with a win here. If they can hope for G2 to lose even. They could still get it.
And the price of that play too. Complete control of deep enemy blue jungle by H2K. 3 wards, lifted around. Scuttle Crab, blue buff. Watch this again. This is good. QE. Hits. View goes low. Eka goes low. Helios waits for the flash. And then here, he just doesn't kick soon enough. I think if he just gets a flash kick off to kind of keep him stun locked, Ryu will go down, but Ryu just survives long enough. Vander with a good flash there too on Lost Art. I'm not sure if that would have killed him or not. Regardless, everybody was ready from H2K to collapse and act on that play. And there was no cross-map possible this early in the game for Elements.
Yeah, and we're playing for the laning phase, but when they got out of lane, all of a sudden they got out of line. 2 kills over to H2K. That's a 1,000 gold lead or nearabouts for them to start this game off. Everything is looking much better for them. And Sprottle looks a little thinner there, narrowly dodging.
Yeah,
just by
no flash on Vander. Luckily, he is playing on a Kalista lane where he can't really get exposed, can always get Fates called back. This is the roughest part of this matchup here in the bottom lane, and we see a bit of a trade go on in the top lane that we can expect. Ilya's going for the return gang, connects.
Or this time he kicks Ryu back in, follows them, and the power gets unleashed yet again. This time they do secure the kill as Ottawamne gets knocked up trying to ball his way to freedom. He will get out. 1 kill over to Elements though. And they continue the pressure in the mid.
That's the power of this Syndra Lee Sin combo. All you need to do is connect 1 CC and the rest will follow swiftly. This time leaving no opportunity to get out of there. The Frozen Tomb was still on cooldown for Ryu, so he couldn't really use it right there. And then just they layer the CCs beautifully. Instant flash R from AK, leaving no time to survive.
It's going to be Elements trying to start this dragon up really quick. Gilius actually quite low. He is able to get a safeguard shield out to secure a bit more of it, but most importantly, H2K don't know this is happening. They have nothing really else to take. Looking for maybe a Rift Herald, but it's only Jankos doing it. This is going to be a while.
No, it's the good thing about Elise is that you can turn it around with your Spinal Links, and the most of the damage on the Rift Herald comes from you attacking it from the back and popping that eye that you see pop open right there. If you 2 people turns around, bam, that's 50% of its max health that goes down. So Elise can actually easily solo it, because other than that damage proc, you do so little damage to a Rift Herald. So yeah. Elise is probably the best champion to solo Rift Herald.
Able to get the distract, poke him in the eye. So that one's secured. Let's see if they can get a little bit of a push on. Heading down to the bottom side is Jankos now, still focusing on Rallis and Sprottle.
Yeah, Sprattle's playing very brush heavy, which is fine if you play against inexperienced players, but... And then we pan over to the top lane where the trade happens again, but...
Over and over.
I don't think he's ever going to hit a hook, so I would rather see him step into the lane a little more and put some zone on Forgiven, because Forgiven is getting free farm here. Only 10 CS down in a very rough matchup, especially in this point of the matchup, considering they went for a little roam too to help out Jankos. I think Elements is not pressing the advantage as much as they could.
Yeah, talk about playing the map too. H2K, they're built for that at this point. You've got, aside from the summoner spells, that Kalista will be able to take down Dragons and Barons with relative ease, combined up with Jankos especially, and they've got this ridiculous CC skirmish potential. Let's see where Jankos is going though. He's moved his way to the Elements bottom jungle, and they's pinged out immediately. Gilius doesn't want to fight him though.
That's what you want to do if you're playing with Forgiven. You don't want anybody else to step to that lane. You don't want to make him upset that suddenly there's a 2v5 bot lane party going on. So your support and jungler group get deep vision, allow him to lane, and more importantly, you're also playing double TP. You have Rammus Lissandra, probably one of the best flanker gankers in the game overall that can teleport in. So as long as his bot lane goes even 2v2, eventually the lane will get pulled, double TP will come in, Steve is the only one to match. Suddenly, Elements find themselves outnumbered in the bot lane, and Rallis will just get blown up immediately.
Yeah, Elements definitely not looking good when it comes to those kinds of plays. They're going to be relying on getting ahead in the lane, but they're already still down a little bit of gold. Jankos and Ryu look to make a play. The Cocoon connects, but he's already within tower range, and Ica moving too fast for them to handle. Also, a little bit of extra gold generation on his side, too. Haven't seen that for a little while.
I mean, the passive gold is the only thing he gets, though, because he'll never be able to get the Spelties procs off. Obviously, but yeah, Frost Queens is the way you want to play Syndra. Send out the Spooky Ghost, allow yourself to easily set up the QE, and then the follow-up combo. Again, it works very well in pick comps. It's pick comp versus pick comp here. Yeah. H2K's winning play is the dive on bot lane though. And look at the amount of pink wards they have in the bot side. They're leaving Rammus on an island, because they know even if he dies once, he's still kind of self-sustainable. 4 pink wards in that bottom jungle. 3 deep wards in the enemy blue jungle. At any point, Lissandra can TP. Rammus could TP. Join the fight here. That's why Mr. Rawls and Sprottle have to be so careful, and they have such a hard time really pushing that advantage in that bot lane 2v2 matchup.
Yeah, towers are going to stand for a little while, it seems. Both parties much more interested in trying to set the pick up on each other. Jankos goes ahead and clears the ward out, while up in the top side, Gilius was clearing Crab away as he also grabs himself some camps. But that top lane's pretty bare with both tops having backed for a moment. And it just continues to be a slap fest.
And it's rough for Gilius because, okay, that play happens in the bot lane, everything's warded. What do? Okay, I'll trade, I'll go topside. But trying to dive a Rammus with Populous in is risky. Like, his build is very straightforward. Stack armor and avoid Syndra. And that's what he's doing. He chooses to teleport in. That's one guy TPing in. Lissandra's roaming.
Oh, that's a quick flash. The hook comes in and it lands on Jankos. Flayed back in. Odo comes in and Odo goes out. Colin comes out. And Odo will body block the remainder of it. This might just be the tower trade. Vander goes ahead and gets a clear on the ward. And now they just turn their attention straight towards tower. Should be an easy picking for them. 15 minutes into the game. That'll be the first one to fall. Not as many kills as H2K would have hoped, but they do get a consolation prize.
Good job by Elements just dodging that gank here. They would have lost their tower 100% whenever H2K chose to make this play. They're looking to trade tower for tower and hopefully not lose too much else. Jankos?
Oh, flashing in. Now they're looking for Rollins. See if they get the Braum knock up. They can. And it's Odo gets the kill credit. Now Sprattle's down. Double kill. That's just okay. Exhaust on Gilius. Takes the Winter's Bite. They're looking for more, but Steve had TP'd into the back, and he's given Ryu a hell of a time here. But he's taunted by Odo in the back of it all. Now Aika trying to save his own life, but he's caught up by the concussive blows, and Jankos slays him. Now Steve just trying to 1v2, but how long can he last? H2K turn up the heat, and there is no way Steve is getting out of this kitchen.
Yeah, I said Jankos, but it was Odo Wamne. Look how tanky he was. He tanked like 4 or 5 turret shots, and by that time, the Element's defensive squad just got obliterated. No tank whatsoever. The only tank they had was Steve, and by the time he arrived, his teammates were already put in the grave. And that's the power of that play. Double TP, D-port setup. At any point, there is so little, if not any counterplay for Elements to be made. They could back off and yield the tower, and then they look to trade. But then Odo Wamne here goes in flash onto Mr. Rollins. Look, he tanks the tower. He's tanking 3 physical champions, one of which drops immediately. Forgiving gets to hop forward. And then the Braum passive is just so strong in these small skirmishes and dives. And now Aika walks in, and I don't know. Like, I don't think Aika should do this.
No, he has to bring flash too.
I mean, this is very ill-advised. Yep. That's just straight up suicide.
Gilius even bought it at that point. I mean, that was nearly a wipe. And that is 16 minutes into this game. I mean, it's ridiculous. You cannot keep making those kinds of mistakes. But H2K, team that plays together, and they stay together. Don't lose a man on that one. Now, Elements are going to try to answer back. Odo Wamne is tanking up everything. He gets the taunt down onto Sprattle. Look at all that damage coming out. Gets the hook in, but it doesn't even matter. Quick back, trying to keep him out of tower range, but he powerballs. Gets interrupted. They might just take him, but he's trying to answer back. Sprattle's way too low. Where's the backup?
That was a little bold from Odo Wamne. He could have cleared half the wave and backed out, but just that's how hard of a time they have killing the Rammus top lane at this point in the game alone, 3v1. So unless Aika unleashes the full combo, that Rammus is not going to die. And he'll be the perfect front line combined with the Braum to allow Ryu and Forgiven to straight up clean up these fights. So this is looking very, very grim for Elements.
Yeah, all ready for this team. They're having a lot of trouble just taking out a single member. That is only their 2nd kill on the board, and after a number of attempts on Odo Wamne's life, they finally get him down. But he'll be just fine for a while. Jankos, 2-0 and 400% kill participation on that board. He has been sticking in these lanes, and now mid tower is close to going down with the Rift Herald buff. Minions run out there. They won't be able to finish the tower just yet, but Dragon is on the board on top of it. There are a lot of options for this H2K squad.
Yeah, we see the strength of this Braum pick as well. Braum and Alistar, why they're just a little stronger than Braum and Alistar, why they're stronger than Thresh overall. Because they just have peeling and defensive capabilities. Vander can just walk up, press E, and suddenly Aika is completely denied overall. He can't land any damage on the carries that are standing behind the Braum pick.
Yeah.
And then whenever he goes low, Forgiven will just pull him back out, maybe throw it in one more time for a knock-up. So it is becoming incredibly hard for Elements to win fights unless they get a kick flank from Gilius into like a knock-up from Steve, or maybe Steve splits the fight open, knocking 2 people out of the fight. That is kind of the win condition for Elements, but it's so hard to achieve with this vision control from H2K.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned the Thresh versus Braum and Alistar. I mean, that had been Alistar specifically a specific pickup for the Sprattle, who had been kind of known as a 1-2-3 trick pony maybe, and they banded away from him very quickly. H2K is a team that, in Europe, obviously you're playing everybody week in and week out. You know these teams, you can figure out who to ban, but they really do their homework on just about everybody and take every team seriously. They'll be go ahead and taking themselves their first Dragon now, so they'll even that one on the board. We're just under 20 minutes in this game. Still a significant lead for H2K. Obviously, Elements can get back into this one, but as you mentioned, their win conditions are very narrow compared to that of their opponents.
Yeah, this is where Home Guards comes in. Suddenly, Odo Wamne will be rolling even quicker in the deeps.
Gotta go fast.
Yup. Not just yet. 30 more seconds.
Blue team's turret.
That was just a slow Rammus. But maybe he goes for the movement speed build. That's such a disgusting build, by the way. Sunfire into Thornmail into a little bit of extra HP just on boost
avoid
one.
the Syndra, yeah.
Yeah,
All you
even if
can do.
no Syndra just doesn't have enough damage to just, I think, shred him in one go. So I think he is actually unkillable at this point for Elements.
Well, he'll be putting that one to the test. Odoamne heads right back up to the top. He's going to be flanked by Ryu and Vander joining him. Actually, Baron just comes onto the Rift too, so definitely not looking to take that one just yet, but there are some inner towers that they can grab. H2K have got all the outers for now, and Element's still trying to knock down the one in the middle. Ryu has held that strong, despite the constant early pressure that had been coming down on him.
All right, Elements. Find the pick. Envision the Rift. Close your eyes. That's what you gotta do. Gilius, show us why you are rank 2. Because he's always bragging how he's rank 1. Forgiven's actually the one that beat him in solo queue. Forgiven's now, or they go up and above.
Yeah, back
each other,
and forth. It's a bit of a grudge
all the
match,
time.
right?
Yeah. They're always in the little Skype chat that all pro players have. Every time one of them reaches a new rank 1, it gets announced, which is very often. But right now, Forgiven should be first place still. Has the mental edge.
Part of it too.
I don't think Forgiven needs Kalista to get rank 1 though. He plays.
Well, he proved that a long time ago. That's true, but it is nice to see him branching a little bit and embracing this Kalista pick that just about every other European ADC had considered a, if not top tier, very, very close to it for a long time.
Yeah, there's only so long that he could say, yeah, this sample will just get nerfed eventually. He had to pick it up. Such a staple, good pick. I feel it fits his style. Forgiven likes to trade and trade smart. And he likes his supports to like CC and set up for him, so I just wonder why he never really picked it up. At one point, I think it must have been like an ego thing. He's like, no, I refuse. People tell me I need it. I don't need Kalista.
Well, this is also the first year we've seen Forgiven with a support that he has been unabashedly complimenting, saying this guy does not need to learn anything from me. He is perfectly combining with me all the time. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but you know what I mean. This is a combo, this bot lane combo, this duo has been absolutely fantastic together. And Kalista Braum, well, there's a big reason why it's strong. They're going to go ahead and start pecking away at that turret. Some serious chit damage there. Rala's having to dodge away from all the skill shots. Gilius will eat a few of them himself, and look at that. That turret already getting shredded.
Poppy's ready with teleport though. This may just Elements be willing to pull the trigger for a final fight before they fall out too far.
Might have to.
Here he is, very far away though. Look at the bottom right of the screen at Dragon. That's where the teleport's coming in right now. Keep your eyes on Ryu and Odoamne.
Spooky Ghost coming out onto Ryu and Odo, and Steve misses the heroic charge. Odo
flashed by
flashing it,
Odoamne.
yeah.
Pretty telegraphed though. If you see a Poppy charging at you, you know Ryu's out of the equation here. You know he's going to flash, so really good reactive flash. Vander gets thrown in though.
Yep, Jankos trying to flank around the side. They get the Braum ulti popping him up. Not nearly enough damage to pick off anybody. Pick comp versus pick comp, as you said. Still the pressure on H2K's side. They own that top jungle here. Elements, Gilius, Ica, Steve trying to push out. Ryu looking to go on in, and he gets kicked just into the rest of his team, and the fight is on. Spraddle going low in the backside while Steve trying to tank up the front of it all. Heroic charges into Ryu. Exhaust is down, and Jankos will take a bite out of him. Ica pushes them all back with the balls, but it is 1-0 in favor of H2K. Still chasing Ica here. The Syndra trying to stay alive, and the Wolves helping out. There's the stun. Scout of the week, and Ica will make his escape on this Syndra.
Yeah, but all these crowd control effects for Elements are being used defensively, and nobody is going close to dying on the side of H2K. Odoamne was just a one-man zoning tool in the backline. He kept Thresh, Lee Sin busy. Let's watch this again. So Vander coming in on the side while Ryu goes in. Doesn't get the self-cast on R off quick enough. Good kick from Gilius to get him out of the fight, but Odoamne, look, he's cutting off one exit path here. As Jankos gets thrown out of the fight, nobody's actually taking damage. Except for Ryu just a little bit, but he's always safe. Ica is so afraid to enter the fight. He can at best go 1-for-1, and that is the problem for his Elements composition at this point.
Yeah. Well, and a bigger problem, too, is, you know, they are so afraid to fight, and Steve just wants to YOLO it in. This is his pick, this is Poppy. They're not really able to do a whole lot else. And when one member of the team is trying to go in and the rest aren't, you've got issues there.
Yeah, it's just a panic move. I mean, I don't think Steve was overextending on his own. He was just setting up the engage there for his team. Obviously, when he gets flashed, then that's one shotgun shell you've lost, and then you gotta wait to recharge. Overall, though, this is the nature of pick compositions versus pick comps. Whoever gets ahead will snowball further, because especially with such a really strong tank in Odoamne.
Well, the double teleports, too.
Yeah, double teleports help to set up the fight, but when it actually comes to the fight, nobody can actually deal with Odoamne right now. Elements can't afford the time it takes to kill the Rammus, and they can't afford to ignore him either. So it's a catch-22. Either you ignore him and he shreds your backline, or you focus him, and their backline will kill you. So it's an impossible position unless you pick a fight where Odo is not involved. But H2K don't seem likely to make that happen.
Well, there's one right there, but Ryu's already made his escape. Clawing his way to freedom. It is so difficult right now for Elements to do anything, and H2K make the bold Baron call. Still, it is relatively a safe one. They've got it lit up like a Christmas tree. Gilius gets caught by the cocoon. Connects with the Sonic Wave, not going to go in onto Jankos here. And Odo still tanking this Baron.
Oh, the spear's reset
slow.
So that's going to be, yeah, Baron.
Yeah, they got to back off that one.
Backing off. Forgiven also pressed QSS for some reason. Maybe get rid of some Baron debuff.
All in all, H2K definitely running this game. In the mid, Elements, time is running out for them to try and make this move. But H2K are the ones that are making it for him. They look for Spraddle, and in comes Odo. He's having a ball. That's a rampage kill for Jankos.
That was really weird. Did he get hooked out of the air?
Because
he was flying from Poppy, and then he just got slam dunked down on the trash. How did he collide with the trash with his power ball?
Whoa. Okay, Gilius, he's getting taunted right now, and he's taken out. Jankos again, he's unstoppable this game. They're going to be able to grab that inner tower. Power's unleashed, but it won't find enough damage on the target. Ica trying to be the hero. Jankos going oh so low. Odo tanking the turret. H2K, no. They've overstepped their bounds here. That tower will last another day.
That's a dream scenario of a Syndra, though. Getting to get a full E off after your ulti spheres are on the floor and still not killing anybody. It's such a sad tale for Elements here. Barely getting away with the skin of their teeth here. Jankos and Odo very well. Let's watch that again. So, this is a very forced engage, by the way. Three skill shots have already missed at this point. Odo goes flying. And he does get hooked out of Spraddle. Props for having a sick prediction. Sadly, it comes at the cost of his life. But at least we can write that one in the books. I didn't even know it worked like that. I thought you were untargetable while you were flying, but it does appear people can actually play ping pong with a Rammus ball.
Unfortunately, whoever's catching that one, it hurts a lot. So Elements, they deterred the pressure on the mid for now. Dragon is now live, part of the equation. Teleport's not available for anyone but Ryu and Steve.
And Vander,
1-1.
Vander's always stepping up when Aka's putting the pressure up. You know, if somebody's going to get hit, it will be him from that ultimate. Obviously, a fully projectile base, so Brahmi will block it. A bit of a siege here. Don't teleport from Odo, so H2K have to be calm.
Oh.
But he's flanking top left of your screen.
Slow flank, although he's caught out on the ward, and now Odo going in. The Poppy hammer wind up. No, says Odo. And he'll try that one again in a little bit still. Elements got to worry about the pressure on the top side. He can go back anytime and start that one up. H2K still looking for a hunt around the side. Ryu looking to go in. Yeah. It's here by the Lucian.
No 1-3-1 shenanigans this game. Full on ARAM, boys. Odo looking for the flank at least. He's doing the right thing with Rammus, so never come from the front door. Always flank. Get into the back line. Just annoy them. Your job is actually not even to deal damage. It's just to keep people busy. Make sure they hit you instead, and then use that Thormail to return damage. He's so tanky right now. With the Spectres, he could literally walk into the Elements squad and survive for at least 5 seconds.
Might be what they need him to do. Steve gets to wind up on the hammer once again. He canceled the last time. They'll knock the Braum away, and now Odo is caught by himself. But look at how much he's tanking up. He just doesn't care about it all. The turret's going down. Finally, they polish it off. Gilius gets exploded in that. And Steve getting popped all the way back to his team. Forgiven picking up the kill onto Gilius.
Yeah, Odo was waving his little armadillo paws in the air like he just don't care, because he was taking absolutely no damage whatsoever. He was taking a tower and 5 Elements members. H2K casually take the tower down before selecting their pick of the menu of Elements. They take themselves a nice cut of Gilius and then they walk away.
Yeah, normally trying to focus on one thing then the other like that isn't always the best strat for a team, but H2K have the lead. They know it. They know that they can dominate this squad. Here's how it all happened again.
So yeah, he's down. The support gets knocked out, so that's no CC there. Knocked into the wall. Full focus here, by the way. Odo did get his W off. Looks like it. Vander gets thrown back in. Forgiven went to play catch. So when his support gets knocked out at the edge of the fight, he walks back on max face call range to play catch and throw him back in there. Vander not having to go through the effort of actually walking back into the fight. That was cute.
Oh, that's a nice little thing to do for your support. Just yank him back in. Get in here. You're not going out of this fight. Baron at 5,000 health right now, but the Elements have arrived to try and contest this one. H2K are peeling back. They seem more interested in trying to grab the Baron than to force the engage.
That is something we have to judge H2K for, though. This is the second time they've started Baron with no vision, no plan whatsoever if Elements comes to check, and no preparation.
Oh, speaking of prep, Elements were looking for this one, and the Poppy windup is there. Steve sends it flying, and he has to hop over the wall. Pushing Odo back now is Ica. Vander jumping to the front to get a proc off onto Gilius. Still no one going down. It's a battle of bruising.
Yeah, that's the result of this kind of RM fiesta that we're seeing. No 1-3-1, no side lane pressure, so there's no kind of forcing elements to reveal at one part of the map. Then H2K going in for the deep vision. Then the lane's pushing again and then going for Baron, like we traditionally see them execute. They're just like, we're strong as 5, they're weaker than us as 5, let's just keep moving in a deathball squad.
I love it, man.
To avoid being picked off and then eventually get Baron, but they really need to get deep vision before they do it. Because the only way they can lose this game is if they fight 5 Elements members and the Baron at the same time.
Don't want Baron to be your 6th man, or the enemy's 6th man, I should say. 30 minutes have hit the clock. They still keep pinging for that Baron. A big wave is building against them, though, in the top side. H2K are going to need to deal with that one. Elements have stalled off the pressure for now, but their prospects are looking pretty grim. The scaling in the later game, there's really not a whole lot going for them. They need to just get pickoffs.
Yeah, and for Mr. Rawless, for example, he's looking for, obviously, some armor penetration at one point. Maybe Lord Dominic's radar on. But he felt the need to get QSS to get out of Ryu's Frozen Tomb, Yanko's Cocoon, Oluwame's Taunt. Even the concussive blows from Braum.
Oh yeah, it's season.
And every item that you wait with getting your Lord Dominic's, Rammus gets another armor item on top of that. He's now sitting on 3. Sunfire, Randuin's, and Thornmail. Just gonna have a little check here.
Yeah.
How much armor he has.
I mean, it's enabled by how much gold they have. They're up by about 8,000, and that's a lot of it off the back of turrets. It's 6-2 for these teams. H2K have just been the much more proactive team, the much stronger team, and when they force those fights, as you see, they can nom the turret, they can nom a champion, and they can casually keep walking. Elements just got to bail out. Look at the teleport flank coming in here. It is going to be Ryu around the side. Claws in, looks for Gilius, looks for Aika, I should say, and he just takes a whole heaping helping of damage. And now Forgiven's throwing Vander into the party. Gilius is down, and Steve ain't gonna last this one. Heroic charge, but all for naught. And it is 3-4-0, and that might be Baron time.
Yeah, this 300 armor Rammus that's without W activated just jumps in and shreds.
That's your QSS right there.
Yeah,
they don't need the Baron.
Gets used, and at that point, for this time, H2K set up the pick. They didn't go for Baron immediately. They used the threat of the Baron to lure Elements into face checking and just kind of immediately engage on them with that teleport. They may just forgo the Baron altogether and look to end the game here at 32 minutes in the game.
15 seconds left on anyone even to try and get back into this one, and with the minion wave coming into the mid, Rawless and Spraddle are hard pressed to try and answer it back. The hook comes in, they go for the finish. Rawless still hanging strong, but not for long. Can't click the lantern in time, and Spraddle is the last man standing for another 4 seconds. Nexus turret 1 will go down. The hook does not connect on where Spraddle needed it to be. 1 Nexus turret, H2K hesitate, and with Aika and Gilius back up, chasing hot at their heels, they will escape the base.
And again, a little bold to go for the finish. Why don't you just go for the Baron here, H2K? So, yes, they're going to win this game, but we have to judge it on how clean they finish. And when you make some of these ill-advised finishing moves, maybe a team like Vitality and G2 will get more breathing room because they won't be down as much as Elements is. Obviously, we never can judge that in the context of the game. Maybe against a team like G2, H2K would have walked to the Baron to take it slow. A bit of a greedy attempt to finish here.
Still, disrespect for not taking him seriously can mean a lot. Odoamne just gets kicked back, but not before landing everything. And then it's all she wrote for these 3 Elements members.
Yeah, knock, knock, knock up, some more knocks, and then Forgiven completely untouched in this fight.
Youch. And Odo's just having a blast. Spraddle doesn't even want to flame. All right, they're going to go and try to keep getting their chase on. Steve is isolated from the pack here. Let's see if he can make it to escape the windup on the hammer. Kicked back by Gilius now. Nope. And they decide they don't really need that kill anyways.
Yeah, he's just going to put that back in his pocket here, Steve. He could technically make the hero play, hammer over the wall, knock Jankos and Forgiven away at the same time, and then jump in and steal the Baron with Q.
Yeah, you know, when Elements have needed a hero, Steve has been the one they've turned to on numerous occasions. He's been a crowd favorite here in Europe as well, and not just because of his awesome name. He has been making some sick plays. His Trundle in particular was fantastic, and this Poppy, it's kind of been up and down for him. Elements as a team have been very up and down in general, so I suppose that's emblematic.
Yeah, they have been struggling. They're looking to fulfill their legacy. They entered the season with one task to keep the universe in balance. That is finish 7th. Their counterparts, Team Liquid, looking for 4th over in North America. Then everything is well. It's going to be a rough task for Fnatic to end up first, though. I don't quite see how that's going to happen, but you know, it is Europe after all.
Yeah. be Europe without some more ill-advised Baron attempts. H2K now with full vision of elements. Gilius around the back is coming in. They're actually going quite early, and Gilius might go down. He blew his chance at this one, and elements are just evaporating. Ryu with the Frozen Tomb self-cast. Everyone goes down. Steve now trying to hold out, but there's no way in hell that's happening. That is a massive wipe, and H2K are just going to end it here.
Yeah, honestly, they had to go for it. They had to kick away 2 members, maybe get a smite steal, somehow survive, but they knew they couldn't. At this point, their demise was spelled out in the game already, and H2K looking for a clean finish here.
Yep, as you said, judge them by that. Just shy of 35 minutes, only one Nexus turret stands in their way. The death timers are just too damn high, and H2K will end this one to continue to try to contest for first place, taking down elements on the final day. H2 what? H2K! Not without a few mistakes, but it'll take a stronger team than Elements to punish those ones, and H2K can watch them.
Yeah, they took 2 kills, 2 towers, 1 dragon.
Fairly clean overall.
That's all they gave up against Elements here, but Forgiven wasn't really that happy. It felt like just another day at the office for H2K, but they're striving for perfection. And some of the Baron Carls really wasn't there, but obviously it's so hard to judge that in a game with this context. You could definitely see the skill gap here in between H2K and Elements.
Yeah, but for Elements too, it was a hard comp to play and to play into, and a very hard team to do it as well. I still think, despite this loss, despite how fairly one-sided it was, they have been on the uptick, and if they are able to secure that 7th place spot, which they can do with a Splice loss today, they can sit pretty, prepare for next split, and try to get better than 7th.
Yeah, that's their main goal here. You don't want to play relegations if you can avoid it. It feels like almost a waste of time as a team, and it's just mentally taxing, and it's a way bigger blow to your confidence too. You know that you're suddenly struggling for your spot in the LCS. Why? You know, if you think you're really that good, you were just a little bit unlucky. So both Spice and Elements really want to avoid finishing anything lower than 7th.
Yeah, well, in the last week, they did manage to knock off Unicorns. They knocked off Fnatic. I mean, you still got to be happy despite the fact that you can't take out H2K. Remember, this is a team that's still vying for the #1 spot. If G2 loses today, well, we might have a little bit of tiebreakers.
Yeah, they're tied for first right now. Obviously, G2 have 1 more match left that are way more likely to win overall.
Towards the end, yeah.
But 2nd place here for H2K, it's still fantastic for the season.
Oh yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can bring in the post. Now, we're going to send it Analyst Desk side to take a closer look into H2K's victory.
Thank you very much, Pyrotechnics. With that, H2K locks in that bye straight to the semifinals. Vitality can no longer catch up to H2K or G2, so that's good news for them. And it looked like they were playing to make up for what happened yesterday versus the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, close to perfect. I don't think there was almost any point in the game where like, oh no, terrible play right here. Everything was under control. We like the pick and ban phase. Some things we have to question.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people are taking Thresh away from Vander. He's played it twice all season long. We now played 18 games.
And alive.
Yeah, I know Vander Live, sure, it happens from time to time. We played it twice. People give him Alistar and Braum instead. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, it's like, well, I'll take away your comfort pick, but here, let us give you one of the top tier
Which
supports.
is also your comfort pick. He had 100% kill participation in that game.
Yeah, it's like, well, what do you think? This is instantly going to become like a bronze player when you take Thresh away? No, it's Vander. We know he's going to be good on these champions.
And Elements wanted to play Lucian and Syndra. And they're like, all right. Give him Braum, guys. It's okay. Oh, he has this big shield that hard counters our ultis. Nah, it doesn't matter. You know, he needs Braum.
No worries at all.
Yeah, I didn't like the Syndra is what I was going to say. Like, in that situation, there aren't too many options available for Ica, but it just seemed like a useless pick at that point. The best he could do at times was trade his ult for Lissandra ult, and that's not really effective on Syndra.
Yeah, I mean, we gave them the advice to play what they wanted to play yesterday. Maybe they listened, that's what happened. You wanted to take a look at some of Gilius's moves early, the fish show?
Yeah, so, I mean, Element's composition is so built around having to snowball early and, like, skirmish a lot, and it's a lot about Gilius on this Lee Sin. I just like this little pathing here. It's very simple, but it's something for solo queue as well. If you have a winning top lane matchup, do your red buff, because you're starting on top side, because your bottom lane wants to do camp, and just take that Rift Scuttler on the way. Then go down to your blue buff after. Yes, it does delay a little bit, but look, he spots out the Elise. That actually saves him from a gang up top lane. First play he makes is what you have to do with this composition. Your Lee Sin Syndra combination has to be able to get some kills. This is too over-aggressive though, because H2K, as you can see in the minimap, has already recalled with their dual lane. They're able to join in for the fight with Elise, with TP from Rammus. So already here it really goes wrong for Elements. They do get a good gank pull off after. This is what they wanted to do more and more.
Yeah, this is what they were aiming for. At this point, Ryu doesn't really have his tools available to stay alive. Ult's not quite up, and that one's a very simple one. And honestly, if somehow they get that more times this game, then maybe there was a chance. The problem is they just couldn't get that time and time again. And I mean, again, in the earlier gank, it's like, well, Vander comes in, saves the day, stops everything from
Yeah, Vander had a great game once again. And then to finish this off, maybe let's take a look at the other replay we had prepared, which seals the deal already for H2K. And we are not that far in the game at this point, but you realize that they're unstoppable at this point.
It's something I really like about Odoamne on Rammus. He's very focused on leaving his lane as often as possible and join his team. And he makes like this flash play, taunts up one member, you just kill everything from now on. And when a composition like Elements here that wants to skirmish and snowball falls behind, especially also against the Rammus, no one can kill him. Like Essence, Reaver, Lucian, have fun ever killing a Rammus.
Yeah, and that flash from the beginning to hit two people, then lock up the taunt, super good by Odoamne. Very comfortable champion for him. We saw a couple of games from him last week, but honestly, as H2K head towards playoffs now, I think the biggest thing for me is how do people deal with Jankos? Because his early game impact has been insane this regular season. So he's been involved in 12 of 18 First Bloods that H2K have had. He was involved in 3 deaths on First Blood. So 15 out of 18 games. It's all been about Jankos, for better or worse, in the beginning of the game. So how do you deal with that, especially in a best of 5? Because there's a lot of different options available.
You kill him.
You become G2 and you have Trick yourself. And you have
That's
two of the
fair.
best early game junglers, hopefully at some point in playoffs, smacking into each other.
Yeah, but they are 1 and 2 now, so they won't meet for quite a while.
Take some time.
It will take
Final
some time.
maybe.
Maybe. Are you putting money on that? Or?
I think that's a very likely prediction.
Be a nice final indeed.
Yeah, I think that would be a very exciting final.
All right, well, we will see. On the side of Elements, though, they are still sitting on 6 wins, and Splice will have a chance to tie them in just a few minutes, but they are taking on Team Vitality, so we'll see if they can do that. And before we go, NukeDuck tells us why he thinks the game is Vitality's to lose.
I think Splice plays very predictable because they're trying to play good macro, whereas we already like understand it and like apply it a bit differently to every game, whereas they really do the most standard like macro move every time. So I think we can really expect what they will do before they do it and even before they know what they will do.